Hi everyone. I was asked to actually put together um, a little bit of words of encouragement for many of us who go through various stages in our life where we feel like we're sort of entrapped by our own inner enemy, trying to make things happen through the process, and then feeling really not so keen with ourselves when things don't go in the direction that we want. And we're all in our healing process, and we're all trying to overcome our own inner conflicts. But I think one of the most important things that we need to understand is that life is a process. And in these weeks where we read the Parsha that have to do with the struggle between Esav and Yaakov, there's some very fundamental lessons that we should try to apply to our own lives in exploring that whole battle between two twins, two seemingly identical, brothers who are coming from the same sort of place in the same mother's womb. And yes, there are identical twins and non-identical twins. So we understand that there is, of course, that aspect of them not having to be the same. I'm sure there are plenty of identical twins who are different. But we still have to understand they're both coming from the same source, the same place. And yet here, the Chachamim teach us that this is the root of all conflicts. There's a system of powers that conflicts every single one of us. And that's the Esav and the Yaakov. And many times over, as has been taught, that there's an Esav in every one of us, and an Avraham Avinu, and a Leah Imenu, Sarah Imenu, a Paro, a Yosef, a Tzaddik. Every single one of the quote-unquote characters that we learn about in the Torah, they each have a presence in our life. And we need to get to know them. We need to get to know them through the Torah because they're live and activating forces in our soul, in our animal soul. And when you look at the word Esav, Esav really comes from the root word asui. Asui means ready, done, and complete. That's it. I'm done. Esav comes out, and the message to the world is, I'm finished. I don't have anything more I have to do. And the Pri Haaretz describes that essence of Esav to a bull, to a shor, that a bull comes out and seemingly comes out of the world and is complete and has nothing. He's just ready to go. Doesn't have that infancy sort of stage. And that's the comparison that Pri Haaretz makes to Esav. That the grotesque physical expression of Esav is, I'm ready. And his mannerism is anger and the mood of the moment, and he vows to take revenge. He feels that I've done it all and I don't have anything more I need to do. Everyone else has to abide by me, surrounding me. And everything's in my doing, a full gaiva. Now, if you look at the word Esav, well, it's really interesting because the word Esav, his name is spelled originally, Asui, Esav is Ayin Shin Vav Yud. And yet the Torah spells Esav's name Ayin Shin Vav. So what happened to that Yud? Well, now from here we go to Yaakov. Yaakov, the description of Yaakov is Yado Ochezet Ba'akev Esav. That Yaakov, he takes hold by his hand takes hold of the heel of Esav. That's the actual translation of the pasuk. And so what we see that Yaakov is really Akev. It's without the Yud. So essentially the Yud from Esav, from Asui, moves over to Akev, and spells now Yaakov's name to be with the Yud, Yaakov. And what does this Yud symbolize? Again, Pri Haaretz brings down and says, well, the Yud is, spell out the word Yud, is Yud Vav Dalet. Those three letters actually spells out the word of the letter Yud. Switch the letters around, what do you get? Yado. Yado means his hand. So essentially, Yado, which is what it says in the Pasuk, his hand, is really that Yud. The Yud ochezet ba'akev. The Yud is holding on to the Yakev. The Yud is being added to the Akev, and that's how you get the name Yaakov. And what is this Yud? The Yud is the hand that represents Chokhmah. Yud is the letter of the Sphira of Chokhmah. The Sphira is one of the Sphirot, or the manifestation of godly energy in this world, how they filter down, so to speak, through these channels into our lives. And it's how we sort of touch the essence that we're allowed to of godliness in this world. And so essentially, the weapon of Yaakov Avinu is that his hand is able, through the Chokhmah, through the wisdom of Torah, that is his weapon that enables him to make his way from the heel all the way up to the heavenly realms. It's only through the power of the Chokhmah of Torah, of learning Torah. That is his strong hand. That is his weapon. That's what gets him to lift himself up. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because essentially, Yaakov Avinu realizes that he began his life from the heel. And his process, the process of becoming a Yaakov, is the process of starting off from the heel down and going upward. And that is the process of every single one of us. And in fact, if you look at the word Yaakov, Yaakov is in the future tense in Hebrew grammar. When you have a yud in front of a word, it defines a process of a future tense, like yochal, ya'aseh. The yud defines future tense. Yaakov lives in the future of becoming the best that he can be. He starts off with the heel, and he makes his way up. Esav started off wherever he started off, and he stays there. He's complete. In his mind, let's drink and be merry, for tomorrow we shall die. It's finished. There's nothing more I need to do but just take the pina colada, stay on the beach, and relax. And that's why we're in a different space as Esav. And in fact, the halacha, Esav soneh Yaakov, that halacha, the word of Esav hates Yaakov, it's a halacha. We have to believe and we have to know that Esav will never love Yaakov. It's a halacha. You can't change that. Halicha, the way we walk in life, is through halachas. Same root word. That is what guides us in our life. That's how we interact in this world. It's just the way that it is. It's the DNA of life. So whoever it is, when we interact with an Esav, meaning Gentile, we have to know that deep in their heart, there's a DNA embedded in them, and it's just the way that it is. We like it, we don't like it, we believe it, we don't believe it. It's the DNA of Hashem's creation. But there's another explanation. To look at the word soneh, hates, also means Esav shoneh Yaakov. Esav is different from Yaakov. There's a completely different approach of the state of mind, the set of priorities that Esav has in his life is not the same as Yaakov Avinu. And that is essentially the root of the battle. The mindset between the difference between Esav and Yaakov is in that mindset. They're completely different. And us as Jews, because we're so influenced and affected by the outside Western culture and world, from our perspective, we look at it and we say, well, I'm supposed to be somewhere. I need to be somewhere, because that's the Esav mentality. He's there already. And that's what affects us. And we always think that we need to be somewhere. But this world, the world of asiyah, the world of action, our physical, grotesque world, the lowly world we're in right now, is the world of becoming. It says specifically in the Torah, Lo alecha hamelacha ligmo. We are not here to complete, so to speak, the work. We're here to put in the hours, punch in the clock, and give our best. Do our best. That is why we are here. That is the essential reasoning and understanding and the basis of living the Yaakov style of life as opposed to Esav. So every time we're looking for this, we're thinking that we need to be somewhere, so to speak. Of course, we all have to have goals, but we don't have to be anywhere. We just have to be on the ladder of Yaakov, climbing, reaching higher, and enjoying the process. Happiness is a process. It's not a destination. It's all about us understanding that everything in life is a process. And as long as we're in the process, we're in the battle, we're on the battleground, we're essentially in the Yaakov momentum, we're in the Yaakov position. And that is in itself, that means that we're already where we're supposed to be, because Yaakov Avinu is called Bechir Ha'avot, the chosen one. And the reason why he's called Bechir is because the word Bechir, if you switch the letters around, everyone knows I love playing Scrabble in the Daily Dose of Emuna. Bechir, switch the letters around, spells the word Chibur, Chet Bet Reish. That means to connect. Yaakov is the original Intel technician that created connectors, right? He connects things. He sees a process. He connects the past to the present to the future. He sees this picture unfolding in front of him. He sees the vastness of his little tininess, so to speak, right? Yaakov is the one who said, Katonti mikol chasadim. I'm so humbled. I feel so small and humbled, filled with gratitude over all the amazing things, Hashem, that you have done for me. That's what Yaakov Avinu says. So he was able to see his smallness, his small role, so to speak, and he's a big role, but smallness of his role in the vastness of this entirety of 5,779 years and then some of the work of the recreation and the reconditioning of this world as we know it. It's that process of what we call p'kichat einayim, opening of the eyes, seeing the truth, seeing everything in front of us. And it requires a lot of work to remember that we're not here to produce. This world demands production. It demands results. We're judged on results. You don't have the house, the six-figure job, who are you? You don't have a college degree, minimum PhD, who are you? Unfortunately, that has become the Esav in the generation. But we are Yaakov. We are people of the future. We are looking to become one as much as we can with Or and Sof, with the infinity. How can we even reach? How can we even finish the task of reaching a place of infinity? There is no end to reaching infinity. It only means that we're looking constantly to become whole. And that's the process of Yaakov. And there's not going to be peace between Esav and Yaakov. Not until Geula. Our job is not to create, again, this peacefulness or reach this destination. Our job is to just rise to the challenge. And that's where the Yad, that's where the Yud of Yaakov, that's how he earned it. That's the first letter of his word. He's first with the Yud, first reaches into the Torah, explores and contemplate what are the pieces of advice that come out of the Torah. And that is what he uses to climb his way up in life. And where's he going? He's looking to become one with Hashem. He's looking to stay in the battle, climb up, attach his mind and his heart and his words and his actions to enable him to attach himself to Hashem. That's his connectedness. That's what keeps him going, is another connection to Hashem, another point of discovery of Hashem, another opportunity for me to get to know the godliness, the deposit of infinite energy and godliness in me that Hashem has allowed me and you and all of us to access. Wow. Hashem enabled us to access godliness. And it's lo hok, it's not far. It's inside of us. And so the reason why we want to get to that final destination is because that's the yearning of the soul. The soul just wants to go back and feel that oneness. But in this world of finite essence, we don't have that place of being able to reach beyond the world in this world. We have to wait when the time comes, whenever it's supposed to come. So the idea is, yes, we're here to change ourselves. Yes, we're in the healing process. For sure. For sure, we have to strive to become the best that we can be. But the results, the check marks on the test, that's for Hashem to decide. That's only for Hashem to decide. And so the miracle in the whole idea of the Esav, Yaakov, and our becoming the best that we can be, our whole self-discovery journey, the miracle in that is that we're discovering another part of ourselves. We're discovering another part of ourselves through the journey. And that's a miracle, because what is a miracle? A miracle is seeing something beyond nature. So if you've discovered something outside of yourself that's out of your nature, you always defined yourself as being quick to anger, jealous, having impure thoughts, speaking lashon hara, chas v'shalom, all those, part of the human condition, God willing, as less as possible we're involved in any of them and others. But when we find ourselves trapped in the Esav inside of us, the Paro inside of us, the Bilam inside of us, all these battles that are going on inside of us, when we find ourselves in that space, we think to ourselves, we define ourselves as that. And we think that's our nature. But when we go beyond that, we don't listen to the inner voice. We don't necessarily follow the inner voice of that, in that non-godly place. And we go out of that nature, so to speak. That's creating a miracle, because that's turning around nature, and that's what a miracle is. And that's the blessing. That's the blessing. That's when we're zoche, and we merit the blessing of Hashem. When we go above our nature, midah keneged midah, measure for measure, Hashem goes above, so to speak, nature, and creates the essence and the pathway for a miracle, God willing, to enter into our lives. So the whole idea of Yaakov versus Yisrael, why his name was changed, so to speak, on that, at that monumental major battleground, is that Yaakov defines the persona, so to speak, of a man, of our forefather, who's struggling to just make his way upward. And he's climbing through the process. Yisrael, the graduation of Yaakov to Yisrael, essentially holds for it the idea that his pathway, the pathway of us, Am Yisrael, Bnei Yisrael, we're not called Bnei Yaakov. We're called Bnei Yisrael. And the reason is because Yisrael has a yashar kel, a direct pipeline. We're not necessarily starting from the bottom here. Yaakov Avinu essentially began to open up that pathway for us. He started, so to speak, at the bottom and created the well springs, and he opened things up for us. Our job, our generation, we've got a little bit of an easier walkway because of our forefathers. We have to extend tremendous hakaras hatov to our forefathers and mothers who really did carve our pathway. And so we realize that we are able to go straight and directly to Hashem, and that's the only direction that we need to be heading towards. That's the process of becoming, needs to be through the process of going straight to Hashem. And that's where all healing is found. That's where we differ from Esav. Our power transcends earthly powers. Our wealth is spiritual. And that's what we need to wrestle our way through, not outside, but in the depths of our soul. We need to extract the godliness. We need to discover our true face. And we need to understand that our face, the things that we face and the things that face us, all represent our reflections of our godly image. They're things we need to see. They're things we need to confront. And again, you need to be a lot more forgiving, a lot more loving of ourselves, forgiving ourselves. Remember, Hashem created tshuva before he created the world. He knew that we were going to make mistakes. He knew, so to speak, humanizing, although we're not supposed to, that we needed a pathway of correction and refinement, and thus created tshuva. And so the whole idea of tshuva, think about it, it's in present tense. It's the process of constantly returning. It's returning back, constantly moving forward, moving forward, ratzo v'shov, back and forth, until we make our way up. So let's be forgiving more of ourselves, and let's understand that we're a miracle in process. And every time we're able to overcome our nature and become a better me and discover another part of myself that was not there to me, I didn't know it existed, I'm a walking miracle. And Hashem waits for those aha moments to happen to every single one of us so that we essentially could discover that we're living a life of miracles and not a life of nature. So that hopefully brings a little bit of clarity onto the idea of the process that happens inside of us, that enemy voice that sometimes hits very strongly in each and every one of us. And Be'ezrat Hashem will all become a little bit more stronger with our identity. We'll be able to identify more with the Yaakov and the godliness and the process of connecting to ourself, Be'ezrat Hashem. And I welcome everyone to continue the journey of learning through the Daily Dose of Emuna and through the various training programs of self-healing that are taught through the Daily Dose of Emuna. And this is the process. This is the process of becoming the best me that I could be. Wishing everybody an amazing Emuna-filled day with a lot of Emuna smiles. All the best.